tak tunggu orang lain, so I'll just start my webinars because I have limited time on my Webex account, so later if you get disconnected, kalau kita belum habis, you reconnect again, okay? Alright, so good morning everyone. My name is Koyum and welcome to another Synchro Web Academy webinar session. And today I nak share dengan you under Ubiquity Products, one of its branch, it's called EdgeMax. Okay, maybe you guys kalau you biasa guna EdgeMax products, maybe you know. For those yang tak tahu, yang maybe some of you guna only under Unified products, so this is another branch of Ubiquity product. They call it as EdgeMax. Okay, so if you open the Ubiquity website, you will see there is a product branding named EdgeMax. So dia akan emphasize only on routing and switching. Okay, so if you are looking for enterprise routers and switches, so you can go for EdgeMax. So my purpose for this webinar is to give you a brief introduction on what is EdgeMax and what models and features are under EdgeMax, so that later after this webinar, you know, you can recognize, you can use EdgeMax into your networking solution. Okay, so introduction to EdgeMax. So what is EdgeMax? So it is a Ubiquity product range. So it is designed to deliver robust world-class indoor and outdoor wired networking. So it will only focus on wired. Okay, so you jangan get confused dengan, for example, you see unified switch. No, this one is not unified switch. So dia punya product, dia punya naming will be Edge. So you akan nampak Edge router, which is the router, and then Edge switch. So Edge switch is the switch. So they focus only on the wired connection. So router and switches. Okay. So dia punya hardware design. So you can choose from various models. For example, the routers you want. How many ports you want, you do not SFP port and then the hardware spec in terms of the RAM, the hard disk. So you ada range product, okay, from home use pun ada and up to enterprise punya. Okay, same goes to the switches. Alright, from the smallest one will be I think 8 ports, okay, up to 48 ports. Okay, so the range in that one. Okay. And the routers, dia tak ada built-in Wi-Fi, no, they don't have, but they focus on wired networking solution. Okay, so this is EdgeMax. Okay, so dia punya product. So for routing, they have Edge router. Okay, for switching, dia ada Edge switches. Okay, so ada a few models. Okay, and then the accessory ni biasalah, dia punya SFP module, all those things lah. Okay. So first we go to the routing part, which is the Edge router. Okay, so kalau for those yang already biasa pakai Edge router, so they know lah. So some of the features is dia ada graphical interface, so easy for you nak configure. So senang, the very user friendly lah. You want to configure anything inside there, you can just use the web interface. Okay. It is powered by the operating system. The Ubiquity have their own operating system. It's called Edge OS. Alright, so you can use it for routing, for security, management features. So you can do that. Alright, for your network. Okay. Also, not only can be used to configure by web interface, you can also use CLI. Okay. Kalau yang jenis familiar dengan CLI, or easy punya configuration lagi cepat, so you can use CLI. Okay, alright. So there are a few types of management access. Okay. So what is HOS? So HOS is the operating system in EdgeMax. So the features, so you boleh buat static route. So it's like any router in the world dia boleh buat. Okay, so if you do comparison between EdgeMax dengan MikroTik router, so the same thing. Both can do standard router punya configuration, all those things. Only the differences is on how fast is the packet and the performance of the router. Okay. So, like HOS, yes, you can do static route, you can do all those routing protocol. You want to do OSPF, RIP, BGP, you want to do VPN also can, okay? You want to do firewall policy, you want to do NAT port rules, okay? DHCP server, DHCP client, alright? You can do QoS pun boleh. You nak buat monitoring tool, okay, and then the support IPv6, okay. So a lot of things you can do in the HOS, okay. So dia lagi fokus untuk enterprise punya use lah. Kalau you just want to use it for home router, boleh, tapi I think will be costly for you lah to have this edge router sebab dia produk dia mahal. I mean compared to MikroTik, edge router lagi mahal, tapi in term of hardware semua now Ubiquiti lagi tough. Even the hardware design pun dia lagi tough, the badan dia solid compared to MikroTik. So depends on what you want to do with your routers. Okay, so from there you can choose the best model for you guys. Okay. So which model you want to use for your edge router? So it depends. All right. So it will run on the same operating system, HOS. All right. So the differ dari segi hardware feature set. Okay. All right. The main differences, I think, will be some of it. There are the built-in switch chip. Okay, and the ability to power up another device. Okay, there are a few models yang dia ada PoE up. Alright, so if you want to power up maybe Ubiquiti AP, then you boleh cari yang ada PoE. But not all models yang support, not all ports yang ada PoE out. So maybe one or two ports yang ada PoE out. Okay, so dia ada some of it ada switch chip and some of it tak ada. Okay, the other differences, alright, the MAU interface lah. Okay, from the four port punya up to I think yang paling besar 12 port kot, alright. Also beza differences dari segi fiber module dia. Okay, so you nak model yang ada SFP or yang ada SFP plus. Okay, alright. So beza dari segi hardware. Alright, the features, the software features will be the same across all edge router. Okay, right. Okay, so if you're looking for, you want to maximize your performance, so this is the list, suggested list that you can select to have a maximized performance. So ini untuk yang untuk you have a robust punya network, so you can select this model. Okay, if you need a 10 SFP punya SFP plus punya port, so you go for ER8XG. Okay, right. So if you want just a normal 1 gigabit SFP, so this is these are the model for SFP ports. Okay, all right. Right. So if you need switch chip, okay, you can use this model. All right. And you can choose for rack. Kalau you nak desktop mount or rack mountable, so this is how you choose from the list. Okay, so this one is rack mountable, but note that some of it rack mountable, tapi you have to use its universal rack mount kit. Okay, so this is how you choose. Okay, so when I said you have this one is for mounted outside. So if you are using MX model, which is the point-to-point model for Ubiquiti. So you have multiple APs on a tower, so you can use this EPR6 or EPR8 as your router or as your switch also. Okay, so you can use this one. Okay, for outdoor. Right, it's for outdoor. Okay, if you need PoE, these are the list for each router with PoE out. Okay, all right. So when I said before, you have said some model with Swiss chip and some don't have Swiss chip. So when you have routers with Swiss chip, you akan save performance on your CPU. Sebab kalau you ada edge router yang pakai Swiss chip, you nak buat bridge interface, dia tak akan consume your resources. Okay, but if you pakai edge router yang tak ada Swiss chip and you do bridging, it will do software bridging. So bila software bridging, dia akan makan your resources. So you take note kalau router you nak buat several ports as switch, okay, so you consider to have the model with switch chip. Alright, so yang list this list are model with switch chip. Alright, so you mention here, so kalau you tak guna, you tak akan sacrifice performance. Okay, so if you don't have the switch chip, you still can use the bridge port, but it will affect the performance of your device. All right, so you take note on this. Okay, similar to MyCotic also. Right, so using MyCotic also the same thing. If you use switching port, dia tak akan consume your resources. You use bridging yang tak ada switch port, then dia akan consume your resources. Okay, right. This one that support list with PoE, okay, tapi dia punya PoE only passive, okay, dia tak ada standard 802.3 AF80 or BT, dia tak ada. So, alright, so dia only passive PoE out, okay. Okay, so for those yang I think tak pernah tengok edge router, so this is how, just I will share you some configuration, simple configuration to at least make your edge router run. Okay, so initial setup, so this one is normal. So the first time you have the edge router, you just connect to port 1 or ETH0, dia akan nampak situ ETH0. Okay, you connect to edge router, so dia akan ada default IP. Alright, the default IP is 192.168.1.1. So you tukarlah you punya PC punya IP to static IP. Alright, then you buka browser. So dia pakai secure punya authentication, so you guna pakai HTTPS. So HTTPS 192.168.21.21. Alright, so dia ada default credential dia UBNT. Okay, so you log in using web browser. Okay, once you log in, the easiest way for you kalau you just want to run nak ada network in your edge router, nak dapat internet, and then just some simple LAN configuration, so you just go to basic setup wizard. So you just on the basic setup wizard, you will configure the WAN, the LAN, and then basic firewall rules. Alright, a normal standard router akan buat. Okay, so bila you run the wizard, so the first thing you need to choose interface that you can connect dengan uplink dengan internet lah. Alright, so the edge router akan dapat internet. So normal lah, as a router, you can use DHCP client. Alright, so your router akan dapat DHCP IP daripada your punya main router ke, firewall ke, modem ke. Okay, you can use static IP, or you can do your edge router as a PPOE client. Okay, so you can use kalau you nak dial to TM Unify or Maxis Fiber, so you kena you can use the PPOE client. Tapi I always suggest you, kalau you ada another router atas edge router, so you yang buat dial in, so you jadikan yang the main router tu bridge mode lah, so that the public IP will be passed to the edge router, so you tak payah buat double net. Okay, so kalau you buat macam tu lah. Okay, alright, so other option on the basic wizard, okay, like you when you do PPOE client, so you need to enable VLAN lah, alright, so like Maxis Fiber VLAN 621, TM Unify using VLAN 500, alright, so you kena tambah VLAN ID, alright, so and then wizard tu also akan enable default firewall. So default firewall, biasalah dia akan drop invalid packet, or new I mean packet yang tak sepatutnya, so dia akan just a normal blocking, alright, so tak ada advanced punya blocking, standard router punya blocking, alright. So kalau you nak guna DHCP, you nak guna IPv6, alright, so you boleh enable IPv6 punya, alright. And then you set for the LAN network 1.1, so you boleh tukar lah, okay, and then you boleh enable DHCP server for the LAN network, okay, and then change the username password, okay, so that's normal punya configuration untuk wizard. So by right you dah run satu network dalam edge router tu, okay, so this is the wizard, so it's pretty easy, tak banyak sangat configuration, okay, unless you want to do advanced configuration, then you can maybe you can skip the, let's say you want to add more firewall, maybe you can just skip the wizard, you can do it manually one by one, or later after you finish the wizard, then you start configuring for the firewall or other things you want to do, okay. Alright, so you reboot, alright, then you connect to the WAN connection, okay. Right. So this is how you configure your edge router to have at least network running on your edge router, okay, right. Like how to upgrade, okay, because when you have the edge router model, sometimes bila you dapat tu the firmware is not latest, sometimes you akan dapat yang lama punya firmware. So the first thing is please upgrade your firmware. Kalau you tak upgrade, nanti some features maybe maybe ada issue, or maybe ada new module, new features yang you tak akan nampak. So bila you dah start run tu, you just upgrade your firmware, okay. So you download dulu the firmware, alright, from the Ubiquiti website, okay, and then you go to system, you upgrade system, you upload the file, okay, so you reboot the file and then you verify version dia dah upgrade, okay. So this is the thing that you need to do like at first, okay, jangan biar you punya firmware tu lama sangat, okay. Alright, some information on the device LED status. So kalau you nampak the LED normal working, you should be color steady white ataupun steady blue, okay. Kalau steady white tu, you are not connected to UNMS. For those who didn't know what is UNMS, UNMS is a monitoring tool from Ubiquiti to monitor your EdgeMax product, okay. So it's like a PRTG lah, so you nak monitor your device status up down ke apa ke, so you boleh buka UNMS. UNMS you can get it free from Ubiquiti, the software, then you boleh download, you boleh install, whether you nak put it in a VM ke in a PC ke, so boleh, alright. So kalau you connected to the UNMS, the standard color will be steady blue, okay. So kalau you jumpa any other status like that one is general, but you just need to take note if you have any problem, okay, like error A12, so you ada device hardware failure, so dia akan keep flashing light, so you know already what you want to do. So maybe something wrong, try to reboot, or paling teruk pun you try hard reset, okay. So kalau you nak hard reset, there is a way to hard reset. So before that, we go to how to backup and restore. So always backup and restore your configuration, because you didn't know when your edge router akan mati, okay, or akan ada problem ke apa ke. So always backup. So ini standard lah, how to backup and restore is very easy. You just go to system configuration. I don't have the edge router now to show you, but this guide will help you. I will share you the slides later. So you just go to system, configuration management device maintenance, then you backup config. Alright. Dekat situ juga you akan upload your backup. Okay. So this is how to upload your backup. Okay. Right. If you are having problem with your edge router, alright, the easiest way is to reset it to factory default. So the other two kinds of hardware reset. So dia ada hardware reset ataupun software reset. Alright, kalau you guna software reset, you reset from the web interface. Okay, but software reset they only clear the configuration and system file semua dia tak reset. Okay, tapi kalau hardware reset dia clear semua, you akan dapat balik your router as like default macam you awal-awal beli. Alright, so you boleh guna hardware ataupun software reset. Okay, so you on the hardware reset you can use runtime reset or power on reset. Alright, so the same thing, both of them you kena push the reset button for hardware reset. Alright, so kalau you guna a runtime reset while the edge router is fully boot, when I say fully boot dia dah steady white tu, okay, dia dah steady white or steady blue tu, so you push the reset, you press the reset button, okay, until the LED akan sequence dari port nombor 1 sampai port nombor last, and dia akan blinking, so you just lepas the button, okay. So reboot and then you verify balik, dia akan dapat balik default IP tak. Alright, you ping balik default IP. Alright, by right you boleh pin, kalau tak boleh you salah reset. Okay, alright. Okay, kalau software reset, so from the web browser, alright, you navigate to system, then you just reset to default button. Okay, so the same thing, verify yang dia dah balik ke default IP address. So this is how you perform software reset. So the same thing. Okay, right. So now that one is the router part. Okay, so because this is just an introduction, I will not show you. We have another class on configuration. So maybe on that class I will show you some configuration. So this one is just some general introduction to the routers and the switches. So I hope actually at least you know something from this. Okay, so now we go to the switching part. So under EdgeMax, the switching part will be called edge switches. Okay, let me just show you. I think you are familiar with using UBNT. So kalau you go to product here, right, so you see, okay, so this is EdgeMax. So you will see, all right, so this is the router part, and below here, so this is the switching part, so the edge switch. So you don't get confused if you're using Unify models, dia ada juga switch, tapi it's called Unify switch. So you tak boleh nak manage the edge switch inside the Unify switch. Okay, so people keep asking different between using Unify switch or edge switch or security gateway and edge router. So simple. So depends on your situation. Okay, like Unify punya models dia lebih ke arah emerging market untuk SME yang you tak you it's not enterprise yang betul-betul high end. Alright, so kalau you betul-betul nak buat your routing and switching as your level yang tinggi, like enterprise you nak serve thousands of user connection semua, so that's where you change from Unify to EdgeMax. Alright, so EdgeMax also dia ada each the standalone, tiap-tiap model dia tu you can access standalone, tapi kalau Unify you need to use the controller, and then the features pun not as much as EdgeMax. So this is how you choose. Okay, so kalau you nak buat you punya switch banyak lagi routing nak perform better, then you go for edge switch rather than Unify switch. Okay, so you take note on that. Okay, so edge switch, so powerful enterprise switch model, Alright, so memang powerful. So dia punya throughput up to 26 gigabit per second untuk 34 ports. Okay. Alright, kalau 48 port until 70 gigabit per second. Okay. So dia ada PoE model and non PoE. So kalau you nak power up PoE devices, so you use the PoE. Some of it ada SFP and ada yang ada SFP plus. Okay. So this is the product range. Alright. Alright, so if you are using 8 switch, so tak macam unified switch. If you use unified switch, you need to have the controller. So 8 switch similar like each router. So you access standalone one by one, okay, and then dia ada a few management access method. So kalau you nak guna CLI command, so you boleh guna SSH. Alright, so by default boleh. Alright, so kalau yang jenis suka pakai GUI, you boleh pakai GUI HTTPS pun boleh, okay. Konsol, you boleh pakai konsol, ataupun you nak pakai HTTP pun boleh, you nak pakai telnet. Alright, and then you can point to the UNMS to configure. Alright, so this is the access method. Alright, so normally people dia yang biasa dengan GUI dia akan pakai HTTPS lah. Okay, so this is how you want to configure your edge switch. So sama je macam edge router. So instead of you connect to port 0, port 1, you can use any other port to log in. Alright, dia ada default IP dia 192.168.1.2 to configure. Okay. Alright, basic configuration. So by default your switch kalau you on dia dah dia dah running dah, so you don't need to enable ke wizard apa, dia tak ada wizard apa, dia dah a normal switch, you turn on dia akan run. Cuma you masuk untuk you configure extra punya configuration lah, like kalau you nak enable VLAN ke, you nak enable PoE, nak turn off PoE, you nak disable port, enable port, so you boleh masuk dalam you punya switch. Okay, so standard punya configuration like okay, backup and restore is important. Alright, so you go to settings, system action backup, and then from there also you can restore your backup. Okay, so kalau you biasa pakai X switch, dia dulu dia ada legacy mode, which is dia punya web interface tu lain sikit. Okay, tapi now dia ada new punya web interface. So the screenshot you see here is the new interface. Okay, so you just use the new interface, will be easier for you instead of using the legacy. Legacy tu a little bit complicated to use. Okay, so this is how you backup and restore. Alright. How to upgrade the firmware. Alright, same like each router, you download from the EdgeMax. Okay, you go to settings, station, upgrade firmware. Alright, so after the finish upload, you will need to reboot the switches. Okay, so this is how you upgrade. Alright, so and then the same thing, edge switch also can be used as UNMS monitoring. Okay, so you can point your edge switch to the UNMS server. Alright, so how you add your edge switch into the UNMS is you go to your UNMS first. Let me just show you my UNMS. So this is my UNMS. Okay, this is my UNMS. Okay, so this is how I monitor my devices. Tapi you must make sure your devices ada internet access lah, because depends lah. Like my UNMS is on cloud, so I need to, my devices should have internet so that I can monitor. Right, kalau you install locally, then you don't need internet lah for this one. Okay, so this is my UNMS, so I can monitor the status of my EdgeMax devices. Alright, I want to monitor my switch, so here is the list of my devices. Okay, so I can check for the version, alright, what model, the MAC address, the IP address. Okay, so if I want to upgrade my edge router and edge switches, I can just upgrade from here. Okay, so this is my UNMS. So how I want to add my edge switch to my UNMS is I need to copy the, let me just close this one. I need to copy the UNMS key, alright? So when I want to add event, I need to copy the UNMS key. So once I have the UNMS key, alright, okay, I need to go back to my switch, Edge switch. I go to settings, services, UNMS, and then I paste the key, alright? After I paste the key, I go back to my UNMS, it will detect my switch under here. So what I need to do is I need to authorize that switch. Alright, so it's like adoption lah UAP controller. Okay, so I need to authorize and adopt it. Okay, so after that I can monitor. Alright, so I can view status of my switch, alright, port status, TXRS, alright. Okay, I can do setting, okay, check for the log, okay, okay. So this is my UNMS. Okay, also you can monitor EdgeMax, EdgeMax product, right? Like this one is EdgeMax product. Okay, so this is UNMS. So you can try to use an UNMS to monitor your EdgeMax and EdgeMax product also. Okay. How to reset your edge switch? This one is similar to the edge router. So they are the runtime reset or power on reset. Okay. So you just push the reset button while it's running, or kalau power on, you push the button before you turn on the power. Okay, so you are the two kinds of reset, the same thing. All right. Yeah, some of your, maybe if you are using the edge switch with PoE out, you by default the setting dia akan pakai 802.3 AF. Dia akan enable 802.3 AF, so the auto sensing. Okay, let's say for this example, so I have the EX 10X and then EX 8. Okay, so like my EX 8, I will power up my EX 10X. So I need to enable, sorry, I need to enable passive PoE to power up my EX10X, because EX10X, if you want to power up, dia ada PoE in on the first port. So I need to enable the passive PoE. Like I said, by default, edge switch dia akan enable 802.3 AF80, so the auto sensing. So you kalau cucuk UAP AC Pro for example, your UAP AC Pro akan auto on sebab you punya UAP AC Pro dia pakai 802.3 AF80. Okay, so if you want to enable passive PoE, like certain model like the old legacy UAP LR for example, dia guna passive PoE 24. So you kena enable the 24, alright? Or you can disable, alright, if you don't want to use PoE. Okay, I have 5 minutes left. Okay, so how you enable disable? So you go to dashboard, you go to port summary, you just select that port, and then you select 24 volt or off. Alright, so you want to enable passive, you enable 24 volt. Okay, alright, then you verify. When you connect the device, tengok dia akan detect tak the connection. Right. Also on the dashboard summary also you will detect port tu dia akan menyala with the current symbol tu. Alright, lightning symbol tu. So means you dah turn on the power and power dia tengah jalan. Okay. So this is how you check for PoE status. Yeah, I think I have only that on my EdgeMax introduction. Anything you want to ask about EdgeMax in general? Anything you want to know more? You can ask, because I think we will end soon, in less than 5 minutes. No question, eh? Kalau no question, any question later you want to ask, you can email to help@synchroweb.com. Later we will share this slide. And kalau you ada, you nak tanya apa, you boleh tanya on help@synchroweb.com. And please join me for other webinar, maybe ada some classes I akan tunjuk configuration punya part. Okay, so I hope you have some knowledge on EdgeMax, which model to use, what you can use, and you are familiar and you can use more EdgeMax model compared to using Unify punya model. Okay, you will start using EdgeMax punya model. Okay. If no, I think that's all from me. Thank you. I think I will be disconnected in I think in 1 or 2 minutes. Right. That's all from me. Thank you. Bye.